Hello everyone, this is Taryn with Wonderfully Made Handcrafting, and today I'm working through day 6 of By the Well for God's One Another devotional. Day 6 is all about how we can serve one another as fellow believers. And in Galatians 5:13 through 15, it says, "For you are called to freedom, brothers, only do not use your freedom as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another. For the whole law is fulfilled in one word. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. But if you bite and devour one another, watch out that you are not consumed by one another." So I wanted to use the serve word flashcard that coincides with day 6, but it didn't fit the Tim Holtz baseboard frame that I had. And so I'm just snipping a little bit off of another word flashcard. I tried to find one that matched the burlap in the one I was using. And so you won't be able to really notice it when I add those little pieces to the edges to fill in that frame. I never really thought about using these baseboard frames to fancy up the word flashcards, but I really like how it turned out. That's something that's good about crafting in a space where you're not usually. Since I'm up visiting my family in New Hampshire, it kind of stretches me to use stuff, like only the stuff I brought. So it kind of stretches you, and I really like that. And now I definitely want to get more of these frames. I really like to get as much white space as I can out of these die cuts, so I take my craft knife and take out as much as possible. I currently use the We Are Memory Keepers craft knife, and I really like it. It does swivel, so you can make turns slightly easier with it, but it does kind of have a learning curve, so it's something you kind of have to work with. I really like the florals in this wooden bucket ephemera piece, and since there's no single floral pieces in the ephemera pack this month, I decided I'm going to use it and just tuck the bucket part of it behind the frame, and you won't even see it. It'll just look like the florals are kind of peeking out behind that corner of the frame. I also took out one of the labels. Now, usually I use my typewriter on these and type out a verse or a little note to go along with the devotional, but I don't have my typewriter with me as I'm in New Hampshire. And so I'm just going to stamp the date on it, but I want to get a feel of where this is going to be placed. And so I kind of just cut it out and kind of eyeball where I want it to sit. Once I have that set, I'll take out my VersaFine ink and my date stamp, and I'm going to stamp the date on it. Now, I had to count the dates because we've been up in New Hampshire, and I have kind of lost track of what date it is, and I do stamp the correct date, but I get it kind of crooked, I guess, and so I turn it around. I'm only going to see a little corner of this, so I'm going to turn it and try it again, and it still is crooked, but it looks a little bit better. I think that my year date is kind of turned a little bit, so I kind of have to look at that and figure that out for next time, because the rest of the date looks straight, but it's something that's going to kind of annoy me if I don't fix it soon. So once I have the date stamped, I realize that this label looks a little too white. I want to grunge it up just a smidge. So I grab my frayed burlap and just add a little bit of that on there. It'll make it look like this creamy old worn color. And then I decide that I'm just going to do that with all the ephemera pieces. I really like the look it gives to have that worn look. If you've watched any of my videos, you know that already. So I just add that to every ephemera piece, and then I will start working on layering this all together. I'm going to stick this label on a white piece of cardstock. This will help thicken it up and make it more sturdy, but it'll also help you not be able to see through the stickers. Sometimes these white stickers, you can see through them if you have a strong background. And since I really like doing a lot of stuff with my backgrounds, I definitely didn't want anything to be seen through this label. And so that is why I do that. I'm going to work on gluing everything down, but like the last video, I do want that girl to kind of hang over that frame. So I am going to put her on some foam tape, but half of her won't need foam tape because I will use glue to glue her head and the cat's head onto the frame. So they'll be at the same level, but they will be popped up just like the frame is. Now I've trimmed down the pieces of this die cut, and so it can get really tiny in parts. Those leaves and branches are very thin, and so I definitely have to cut down my foam tape to be extremely thin. So a good pair of scissors really helps in this situation. Now it's time to do my background. I'm going to lay down a very light layer of the frayed burlap distress oxide. Now I do put this craft mat behind that page. There's two reasons why I do that. One, so it doesn't get on any of the pages behind it. But the number one reason why is because I have a lot of bumps and chunk to this Bible. And so I want a kind of sturdier piece to go behind the page so I don't see those impressions when I start rubbing the ink into the page. Now this background stamp is super special to me. This is a stamp that I had my grandpa handwrite, and then Lindsay from Lindsay Decor added some splatters to it, and then By the Well actually created it with the company that they use for their stamps, and I ended up giving them out for the retreat that I hosted a couple weeks ago. So it's super special to me. It is 2 Corinthians 4:17, which was our theme. So it really has nothing to do with this devotional, but I just like the look of the writing behind in the background, and so I thought I would use this one. Now, hindsight bias, I probably would have left the page as is and just added my cluster. I really liked the light look I had going with the frayed burlap and then the antique linen stamped handwriting. But I wanted more of a mixed media look. I guess I was really kind of going for that. And then I kind of smeared some of the distress oxide that I splattered down. So I'm trying to pick that up with a water brush. And then I decided, well, I'll just add texture paste with aged mahogany and kind of add some more splatters that way. And I will also kind of hide that stripe that I had made. And this is the point where it just kind of gets a little too much for me. I still like it, but I really liked the simplicity I had going on before with just the handwriting in the background. Now, most of the time, I put the texture paste in 3 different places on a page to kind of make that triangle. I did put it in 2 places here, and I probably could have left it like that because I have that cluster, but I decided to continue and put it in a 3rd place. But I didn't really think about the triangle thing, and it kind of just moves to the same area, which is a little frustrating, I guess, because it kind of looks like it takes over the page, but it'll end up being okay in the end because the florals kind of cover most of that 3rd place up. So anyways, I will end up gluing this all down, and then I will add a bow clip to the top of some fabric that I picked up from Hobby Lobby, and that'll be it. If you've enjoyed watching this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. I will also link the introduction process video I have for one another at the end of this video. If you haven't yet, you can follow me over on Instagram at Wonderfully Made Handcrafting, and I will link all the products I use down below in the description. I hope you have a wonderful day, guys. Bye.